Are you tired of the rainbows and butterflies approach in multifamily investing, where everything unfolds seamlessly and everybody wins? You never see behind-the-scenes reality. If you resonate with our perspective, acknowledging that true insights emerge from navigating mistakes and challenges, then you're in the right place. Join Christy Keaton, your host, as she dives into the missteps and lessons learned encountered by active apartment operators. In these episodes, we embark on a journey to dissect and analyze the pitfalls within the multifamily project lifecycle, focusing on the crucial stages of finding, funding, fixing, or flipping a project. Instead of glossing over setbacks, we shine a spotlight on them, providing a valuable learning experience for our audience. Each episode concludes not only by revealing how the issue at hand was rectified, but also by sharing other priceless lessons derived from the experience. It's an unfiltered exploration of the multifamily investment landscape, revealing the intricate tapestry of challenges and solutions that make the journey worthwhile.
Welcome back to another episode of Multifamily Missteps. I am your host, Christy Keaton, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing one of my favorite people on the planet, Mr. Jerome Myers, also the prior host of this podcast. Thank you so much, Jerome, for coming and visiting with me today.
Christy, it's an honor and a pleasure to be on the Multifamily Missteps podcast with you. I think so few people realize what talent you have, the gems you've been able to uncover over all of these deals that you've been able to underwrite, purchase, and I thought it would be phenomenal for you to keep this thing going, and you have gratefully agreed to step in and take this show to the next level. So I'm thrilled to have this conversation with you today.
I appreciate that very much coming from you, Mr. Jerome. I love it. I love that you have given me the trust that you have put into me to continue with this Multifamily Missteps podcast. So let's talk a little bit about something that you have gone through on your multifamily journey. I don't even know which property that we're going to talk about today, but I am excited to hear what your misstep was in this multifamily journey. So take us on a ride.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I don't know where to start. But what I think will be pretty cool is we did a 20-unit and an 8-unit acquisition on the same day. I bought it from the same owner, and we made mistakes on both properties.
Oh, no.
And so I think it would be pretty cool to talk about those, because one of them is near and dear to you, which is underwriting.
Yes.
And then the other one impacts underwriting more than other people can even imagine, which is due diligence. And so which one do you want to start with first? Because I know you could pull out all kinds of lessons from either one of my mistakes.
Absolutely. You are correct in saying that I am underwriting. I love the numbers. People are like, numbers. Nah, not me. Give me all the numbers. Actually, but I want to start with the due diligence, because that's another one that I really enjoy doing as well. So let's start with your due diligence missteps, sir.
Okay, so to set the stage, it's 2 quads, 4 one-bedrooms in each, 1 bedroom, 1 bath in each address. They're conjoined units or conjoined addresses or conjoined lots. And we're going through, and the owner happens to be there on the day that the inspector comes. And so the 3 of us are walking through the units. I'm doing what I can to glean whatever information I can get from the people who've been living there, some of which have been there since the property opened. And so this was a 1984 build, and this was 2018 when we were doing this due diligence, believe it or not. So we go into one of the units, and we see that the vents are taped off.
Whoa.
Cardboard on top of them, duct tape around the edge in every room. And I look at the owner and I was like, hey, that's kind of weird. And so then we go over, and the inspector's getting ready to inspect the heat in the air because it was central HVAC. And he hits the button, and then boom, it clicks back off. You're like, So he tries it again. I think he tried AC first. This time he tries heat. It's on for a little bit longer, and then it kicks back off. We're like, what's going on here? And the owner's like, there's nothing wrong. And then we go to the bedroom because it's in the back, and we see a window unit. And we're like, okay, there's something fishy. This is July.
Yeah.
There's something fishy going on.
Definitely.
Nobody who has central HVAC is running a window unit in a 600 square foot unit. It's just not happening unless there's something wrong. So we go outside, and we see that the fan is spinning. So it started up when we turned the AC on, but, it didn't continue to run. It was slowing down. So we go back in, and he hits the heat again. And then we start to smell something, Christy. And I'm like, what is that? And it just continues to get worse. And then the heat kicks back off. And so it continues to get worse. And I'm like, what is going on? And I was like, don't worry about it. It's nothing. There's nothing going on with this. And so it's closing day. We're closing it.
Oh, no.
And so we're like, all right, now it's time for us to do what we're supposed to do. We're going to make things right. And so we send somebody in to see what's wrong to repair the HVAC unit. And he opens up the furnace inside the unit, and he notices that a possum or a raccoon, he couldn't tell, had fallen from the attic onto the coils and been seared.
No. Oh, no.
And so, not only that, but he went up into the attic to see, well, are the vents still connected and is the ductwork still connected? And when he pokes his head up, he's met by a family of possum. And so we go outside and we realize that the branches were so close to the building that the family could climb up the tree, off the branch, underneath the eave, into the attic. And it was a nice, safe place for them to build a home.
Raise a little family.
So the HVAC guys charges us for the service visit because he figured out what was wrong. And then says, after you get an exterminator to get those rodents out of there, I could come back and fix it. Oh, by the way, here's an estimate to replace all the inside stuff because the smell's going to be in the ductwork for $8,000.
Ooh.
And so to put things in perspective, we were able to get this property at $22,000 a door.
Okay.
$22,000 a door. And our first capital expense was $8,000.
Wow.
Now, for a lot of people, they would be upset, frustrated, disappointed, confused. I do believe that this was a rookie mistake because I closed anyway. Trusting the owner during due diligence is probably never the right answer. But that's what we did. And it impacted because we didn't plan on doing that. In fact, it was pressure washing and a few other things, but we didn't expect to be replacing units. And that threw the pro forma off from the beginning. Earlier this year, we exited that project and did fairly well, but that is the big due diligence no. Because when you think about it, that is a third of the price of that unit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's one thing that we, have to learn. And it is rookie mistakes like that to trust the owner, especially after you've built a relationship with that person and you feel like you can trust them because you've built that relationship, however long it is, a month or 2 months or 6 months, however long it takes you to get that property. We always want to trust that they're doing the right thing because we want to do the right thing for them. So I would say that's a little bit of a rookie mistake. $8,000 right off the bat. So, but you got it done. Yeah. Everything.
Oh, we got it done. It was one of the best performing projects in the portfolio.
That's awesome.
But it was a surprise.
Yep.
And, if our rehab budget, I think we only had $3,000 to $6,000. It was probably $3,000 to $5,000 per unit in.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you throw 8 in, that's 2 that you can't do flooring in, or that's 2 that you can't do cabinets in, just in the snap of a finger.
Yeah.
And we had to deal with stuff like water heaters because they were under the sink, so they were low boys, and there were other intricacies and challenges that we had to work through. And imagine if that happened in multiple units.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That 8,000 across 8 is $64,000.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, they can't just write the check to fix that.
Yeah,
and I think that's where people who do the fix and flip in the single family get lost, because they don't realize how much multiplying by whatever the size of the property is can impact the budget from an investment standpoint.
So thinking about this now, when you were walking through, did you have a professional inspector with you doing that? And when the owner would flip it on and say, "Oh, it's nothing," and flip it back off, what would that inspector say? Or, usually an inspector wants to see the units, wants to see what's going on. So what was that reaction from that inspector?
Yeah, so this inspector in particular was looking for anything he didn't have to do. And what does that mean? It means that if he didn't have easy access to the plumbing underneath the sink, then he wouldn't check to see if there was a leak. If the power wasn't on in a vacant unit, then he wouldn't go into the unit and look around. So he did both properties, and his whole goal was to do, I'll say, as little as possible.
Yeah.
In this particular instance, the report noted that the AC or the HVAC unit had a electrical issue. It wouldn't stay on.
Okay.
And then that was kind of the beginning and the end of his report.
Wow.
He didn't do any troubleshooting or estimates of what the repairs would cost.
Wow. Yeah, we don't use inspectors like that anymore. Definitely not. Well, I'm glad that one worked out. And as you said, that one specifically was pretty good in your portfolio there at the end. And exiting, I mean, you don't have to, give me an exit number, but per door exit, are you interested in throwing that out there to let us know, because even though it was a misstep, you still did pretty well on the property.
Yeah, I'm not shy about this at all. So we bought the property at, I think we contracted at $195. We ended up with about $10,000 in concessions on that deal, and then we sold it for $400,000. So I don't remember what the price per door was, but $400,000.
That's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. That was a great deal. And I'm glad that misstep didn't take you completely off of track. Okay, now let's talk about that 20 unit and that underwriting. This is where I might get a little passionate. I'm just saying, just warning you ahead of time.
Yeah, so, this is the first deal where I wrote the contract and led everything myself, including being the lead underwriter for the deal. And so in this particular instance, I created the model and shared it we did a joint venture on this deal, shared it with a few of my joint venture partners, shared it with the bank that was going to do the debt on the deal, and in no way, shape, or form did anybody question any of the numbers in the model outside of my rent projections. So here's what happened. And this is when I actually realized that I made a mistake. So we closed right around July 4th. In January, property taxes are due for the city of Greensboro. And I got a bill from the real estate assessment group. And I was like, what is this? And so I reached out to the attorney and said, hey, you didn't pay the taxes when we closed. And he was like, of course I did. I was like, no, you didn't. Why did they send me a bill? The first taxes are paid. And he's like, no, what happened was you got a credit from the seller for the portion of the year that they own the property. And then you are responsible for paying the taxes in full from the point that you owned it to when the taxes are due. And it's like, no, that's not the way it works. And he's like, well, here's the closing statement. Here you go. There was one issue. When I built my model, I had taxes at $1,000 for the year.
Ooh.
We bought the property for $840. That deal was that the taxes that year were $10,000. A little bit around there.
Little different. A little different. Just a little bit.
And so when I went back to the model, I was like, what's going on here? And they, sure enough, everybody missed the comma and the other zero.
Wow.
And so the issue with that is there's a $9,000 expense that's going to show up throughout the deal.
Yeah.
And so that's going to negatively impact your NOI.
Yeah.
And that's going to negatively impact your valuation. And so to the tune, if it's a 10 cap, that's $90,000 in valuation.
It is, yeah.
Every year, and you can't fix it. You can't out earn it. You can't do anything with it. So dollar for dollar, it was one of the worst mistakes you can make. And I just got it wrong. It's not like we bought it and then they reassessed the property and got blindsided. It was just a complete and utter error. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of that in the last couple of years for sure. And it's not necessarily that that people are making a mistake necessarily in the underwriting and missing a zero or missing a comma. What they're doing right now is the taxes and the insurance across the board, and this is across the nation, have just skyrocketed. I have seen them in Texas quadruple the taxes and the insurance. Of course, you can go in and you can appeal and do all of that. But the question, I think that I was going to ask a question, but I think that you've already answered that question, was, did they reassess it at the purchase price, or was it just an underwriting error? And what you're saying is it was an underwriting error. Did they reassess
Flat out underwriting error.
Yeah.
I wish I could blame it on the reassessment. I think other people may be blaming their stuff on the reassessment, but it's a flat out underwriting error.
Yeah. So back to what I was saying a few minutes ago about people that have been underwriting. They underwrite these deals in 21 and 22, and they're looking at these taxes and insurance now coming up in 24. Double and quadruple. Have you seen any of that? And were you able to reassess your properties that you currently have for the taxes and insurance that was coming in 24? Were you able to miss that misstep?
Well, we had our property taxes double during COVID.
Wow.
And they haven't changed much since the property taxes doubled.
Wow.
So our escalation on expenses covered the growth after it doubled. But in no way, shape, or form did we model the taxes doubling.
Wow.
We didn't have a reason for the property to double, the one that I'm thinking about in particular, because the purchase price wasn't dramatically greater than what the previous owners paid for the property.
Wow. Oh, that's good. That was a good deal. That was a really good deal.
Well, yeah, so the thing that we love most is finding partnerships that are falling apart and helping those folks exit their partnership.
Oh, that's great. That's a great business plan. Write that down. Okay, so how does that 20 unit look now? Like after that $9,000 pop per year, what is it looking like now? How did you go in and able to maybe I don't want to necessarily say fix it, because that's almost not fixable, but how do you get past that? How do you you and your partners together, how do you get past that and really learn from that?
Well, we got past it by me writing a check to make up the difference.
Whoa.
We got past it.
Okay.
And that's just me taking responsibility. Nobody asked me to do that, but I felt like it was right because it was my mistake, and I'm an asset manager and
that's
whatever
good.
else.
Yeah.
But how does it look now? We sold it for $1.7 million last year.
Look at you! What? I love that. I love to hear that kind of success. That is awesome. So even though we had a $9,000 tax mistake, we were still able to double or almost double the value of that property. And how long did it take you to do that?
It took us about 5 years. So
wow.
We did double it, right? So we bought it for $840.
Yep.
And we sold for 1.7, so we over doubled it, which for us is really exciting because we basically quadrupled the partner money with the equity. And
that is amazing. That's absolutely amazing, Jerome. Oh man. Guys, listen. Make sure you've got the right inspector when you are inspecting your property during the walkthrough. Even if it is closing day, you can still go back and say, fix this or help us fix this. Do a trade out, something. Make sure those numbers, especially whenever you're doing underwriting, the taxes and insurance are the top two mistakes that people make on their underwriting. So make sure that is. I appreciate you coming on, Jerome. I do have a couple of things to ask. The first thing is, how can people get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you personally?
I'm on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn.
I love it.
The only Jerome in Greensboro, North Carolina. So
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, I have 3 little quick questions for you to help add value to the audience. The first one is, what's the number one book you would recommend for multifamily?
Deal Savvy by Chris.
I love it. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I believe that is the book that anybody needs if they're trying to figure out underwriting, which is the most important piece. Like, the multifamily properties are a math problem.
Yeah.
You need to understand how to do the math if you're going to. It doesn't matter if you're passive or active.
Correct.
You have to know what you're looking at and if the assumptions make sense, because that's what's going to determine whether or not you make money.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm going to stack on that and say, don't just trust the syndicator or the operator. Know the numbers yourself inside and out before you put your money into that deal. 100%. Number 2, what podcast besides Multifamily Missteps do you recommend people listen to?
So I'm going to say the Dreamcatchers podcast.
Absolutely.
I think it's so important for folks to understand what's possible. You know, we come in with the multifamily dreams, and you get a bunch of folks who tell you all of the stuff that makes you feel good, and I guess it's supposed to be inspirational, but it becomes really discouraging when stuff's not working.
Yep.
And so we want to tell the whole story. That's why I love Multifamily Missteps. But Dreamcatchers gets you the good, the bad, the ugly of entrepreneurship. And the goal is to give you education, inspiration, and direction so that you can stay on your journey. And they don't have to be just like you. They don't have to be working on the same business as you.
Right.
The thing is, what was the journey? Because those lessons transfer across all industries.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you, Jerome. You're amazing. You're an amazing business coach as well. I absolutely covered our time as a coaching student with you. I thank you so much for that. And till next time, thanks, family, for listening, and we'll see you again. Thank you so much for listening to another great episode of Multifamily Missteps. The valuable lessons that our guests bring each week help you and others avoid those missteps. Now, help us spread the word. Make our community even stronger. Click that subscribe button. If you found value in what you listened to today, take a screenshot of that episode and post it on your social media. And don't forget to tag us, because you never know when you might find yourself our next featured guest. I cannot wait to continue this journey with you, my friend. Until next week, stay tuned and stay inspired.